The long-serving chair of the Longmeadow Democratic Town Committee, Carrie Glazer, recently stepped down after more than 2 decades of service. A force in regional politics, she left big shoes to fill. The newly elected chairman tapped to fill the seat, Michael Clark, is no stranger to local politics and a seasoned veteran in his own right. Clark sat down with Carrie Saldo in the studio to discuss his vision for the committee's future.
I've been on the committee and an active member of the executive committee for the better part of the last decade, really since I came into politics. And it just seemed like the next logical step, and I had great support from Carrie Glazer, who just stepped down, and a lot of encouragement.
Yeah. In the letter that you posted on the Longmeadow Dems Facebook page, I wanted to read a portion of that, and you said, quote, "Whether I've been a candidate for school committee or Democratic State Committee, the Longmeadow Democratic Town Committee has always been at the center of my civic life." In what way?
Well, I mean, the very first place I went when I decided to run for office at 20 was the Longmeadow Democratic Town Committee. And
that was town council at first,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, selectmen. And I was met with some skepticism because they didn't know me at all. I was this 20-year-old who just showed up. But over time, the people on that committee who are still members there have become friends, and they've become supporters, and really we're just a big team trying to do an important job.
Yeah, and lots of folks. We had Candy on the program a few weeks ago, kind of her exit interview. Yeah. So it's a nice dovetail for us to have you here now. You've mentioned, you started when you were 20, you're 29 now, even though Politico said 30 earlier this year, prematurely aging you. But 29 years old. And you've been involved in town politics, most recently school committee. Yeah. For a bulk of that, what sparked your interest in politics?
Well, I think initially it was the Obama campaign. I think that that message that you can change a community, if you care enough about it, really inspired me. And I ran around the same time that we were starting to talk about building a new high school. And, when there's big spending projects, there's so much misinformation that it's easy to get caught up in. And, sort of cavalierly, I thought I could do this. And so that's sort of how I got involved, and the rest of it just sort of spun out from there. It's been just a phenomenal experience, though.
Great. The Longmeadow Town Committee is one of the few very active in our region. Carrie Glazer had a very heavy hand in helping to grow the committee, helping to pivot the community from a Republican stronghold into what is now more of a Democratic region of Western Massachusetts, very blue Massachusetts, as we both know anyway. But for you, are you thinking about, you're coming in, younger energy, different ways that you'll help to keep the committee relevant? Yeah, I mean,
I think growing our membership is a key element of what we need to do.
Where are you about right now?
Well, we have 109 members, both associate and elected members, which is huge. I mean, not all of them are active participants, but as you can imagine, when I came into the committee, a long time ago, I kind of set the median age. And I think, there's a lot of people throughout our community who are looking to find a way to get involved. They're looking to be activists in some manner. And, it's important for us to show them that we can be that platform for the issues that they care about.
Speaking of those issues, you mentioned them in your letter as well. You mentioned climate change, you mentioned equal pay, equal rights. Those are big issues for a small town committee.
Yeah.
Pick one, and how are you going to start to break that down as a committee?
Sure. I mean, so, when people come to our committee, they come in with a whole host of issues that they care about. And I view the role of our committee as to not pick one or the other, but to really provide a space where people can share what they're interested in. They can share, events that they're going to attend with everybody on the committee and invite people to join them. They'll let us know when they're going to New Hampshire to knock doors or when they're phone banking, out of Boston. And so I think that's what our role is. And I don't know if we're going to get into the sort of minutia of any particular issue, but we're going to let people know that if you really care about something like equal pay, then here's all the ways that you can work to advance those issues.
One issue that jumps to mind for me that has been talked about several times here on Connecting Point, and also people who are either emailing or calling, it's an issue of concern, is the Longmeadow metering facility that's been proposed at the Longmeadow Country Club. And for people who aren't familiar, it's a Tennessee Gas pipeline has plans, and what that would do is allow Columbia Gas of Massachusetts to purchase more natural gas and sort of build on the natural gas pipeline infrastructure in the region and extend from Longmeadow to Springfield. Right. So it would be a big change for the community. Do you foresee that that's something that the committee might take a stand on one way or the other?
So we're not going to, we're not going to take a position on a specific set of issues. I think that one of the ways that we want to run the committee is to be a big tent, and there are plenty of people who might agree that there should be a metering station, and plenty of people who agree that there shouldn't be. But again, we're going to invite both sides of that, of that discussion in, and we want to hear from people who have vested interests in both sides, and let people choose for themselves. I've never viewed the role of the committee as pushing a particular set of ideas. I mean, we have a platform as a party, we have a set of bylaws as a local committee, but everybody brings their own set of experiences into it. And certainly, I mean, our vice chairman, Michelle Morantz, is a very active member of that pipeline awareness group. And so it definitely permeates what we talk about, but people need to decide for themselves. Some people may not even think it's an issue that they should involve themselves in.
That's got to be a tough thing for you as a chairman, because here
Yeah.
you are surrounded by all these very strong political opinions to try and remain Switzerland.
Yeah, it's hard. But I think that, we run the risk of alienating people if we start to wade too deeply into specifics. And I think if we want to be a big tent, then we need to be able to agree to disagree politely. And we need to be able to, tell each other where we're coming from on a particular issue. And frankly, we need more of that in our society. And what a great place to start.